You know that sound? When you're walking down a quiet street late at night and you just hear it? That low, steady kind of electric hum coming from somewhere above you? You look up and there they are, the power lines, cutting across the dark sky. It's a sound you almost never notice during the day, right? So what's the deal? What is going on up there after the sun goes down? That really is the mystery, isn't it? What is that strange, persistent sound? Are we just imagining it, or is something actually happening on those wires?
Well, let me just put that to rest right away. You are absolutely not imagining it. That sound is very real, and believe it or not, it has a pretty cool scientific explanation.
The thing causing that nighttime hum has a pretty fancy name, the corona effect. And note before you ask, it has nothing to do with viruses, or beer for that matter. This is all about the physics of electricity. And look, to get what the corona effect is, you don't need a degree in physics. All we really need is a super simple analogy, one that involves something you probably have in your own backyard, a garden hose. All right, so just imagine a regular old garden hose. For our purposes, the hose itself is like the high voltage power line. It's the container, the path for what's about to flow through it. Simple enough, right? And the water flowing through that hose, well, that's just like the electricity moving through the power line. It's the stuff being transported from point A to point B. Now, this is the most important part of the whole thing. The force that's pushing the water through the hose, that's the water pressure. And in the world of electricity, that pressure is what we call voltage. But here's where the analogy gets a little wild. We're not talking about the kind of gentle pressure you'd use to water your flowers. Power lines carry incredibly high voltage. The electrical pressure is just immense, so much more than a simple wire is perfectly built to contain. So when you have that much electrical pressure, that much voltage, the wire just can't hold on to it all perfectly. A tiny amount of that electricity literally can't be contained, and it discharges, or kind of leaks, right off the surface of the wire into the air around it. And that right there, that brings us to the official definition. The corona effect is what happens when that high voltage pushes electricity off the wire. This little discharge ionizes the air molecules it bumps into, which is just a fancy way of saying it zaps them with energy. And that process creates two things, a very faint glow, called a corona, and a sound. So that hum you hear isn't one single sound. It's actually the combined noise of millions and millions of these tiny, microscopic electrical zaps all happening at once. You are literally hearing electricity interacting with the air. Pretty cool, huh? Okay, so that explains the hum itself, but that still doesn't answer our original question. Why is it so much easier to hear it at night? Well, there are two big reasons for that. The first reason is, well, it's pretty obvious when you think about it. The world is just plain loud during the day. You've got cars, construction, birds, people talking. That quiet little hum from the power lines doesn't stand a chance. But at night, when all that background noise dies down, the hum is still there and it suddenly gets the spotlight. But there's a second, more scientific reason. The air itself is actually different at night. As the temperature drops, the air usually gets more humid. And what's interesting is that cool, damp air is a better conductor of electricity than warm, dry air is. This means it's actually easier for that tiny bit of electricity to escape the wire, making the corona effect just a little bit stronger, and that hum just a little bit louder. Okay, I know what you're probably thinking. Hearing the words escaping electricity sounds, well, kind of scary, right? So, is this whole phenomenon something we should actually be worried about? Let's just ask it straight up. Is this corona effect dangerous to any of us walking around down here on the ground? And the answer is a big, resounding absolutely not. The amount of energy that's being lost is incredibly small, and those lines are way, way up high for a reason. You're always at a very safe distance. It poses zero threat to people, pets, or wildlife down below. So if it's not a public danger, what is it? Well, for the power companies, it's really an efficiency problem. Every single one of those tiny zaps is a tiny bit of wasted electricity. Now, it's not a lot, but when you think about thousands of miles of power lines, it starts to add up. That's why it's a constant design challenge for engineers to reduce that waste. But it's an engineering challenge, not a public safety hazard. So, let's wrap all this up. We've solved the mystery of the nighttime hum. What's the main thing you should remember from all this? Here's the simple rundown. 1. The sound is the hum of the corona effect, basically electricity zapping the air. 2. The timing. We hear it at night because the world gets quiet and the air itself becomes a better conductor. And 3, the big one. The verdict is that it's a totally normal and 100% safe part of how our power grid works.
So, the next time you're out on a quiet evening and you hear that hum, you don't have to think of it as mysterious or eerie anymore. Now you know exactly what it is. It's not some strange whisper in the dark. It's the constant, steady sound of the invisible world of electricity, working around the clock to power our homes and keep our lights on.